He's in a league that a lot of other drivers are starting to join SRS from, and it's a league that I do help run, and it's, you know, big league that's in my heart, but so too is SRS. And Pinkweb's a very strong driver. Will he be able to fight up against the likes of Bonkers, Jake, maybe even James, stuff like that? That's a question. He's had a couple of weeks out, so he is a bit rusty in his own words, so time will tell. But right now, up in P4 for the Swedish driver. Adam Dixon, another driver we've got today, and there's Scouser off at the back end of the field momentarily. Really big improvement from Adam Dixon here after not a proper first lap there. But the V-Carb driver, I seem to think could be quick around Spain, but I don't know. But either way, we're going to see as he chases through the final corner up towards what will be the finishing line for today. 5th place on the grid with a 1:12.5 as James B then, our second in command in the championship, only good enough for P4, so bit of a split field. I mean, the field is spread across by 0.2 of a second, 2.1 seconds from Jake all the way down to Carlos Skiller, and out goes Scouse. Where is that? Scouser? Is that on track, or is that in the pit lane? I think it's in the pits. By the way, he's out of the session. Have I missed something? Does that usually mean something's wrong with the lobby or something? Surely not. Nothing's been said. So right now, that is him out of the session. So a maximum P13, which he won't keep after Ranger and this man, the Kaiser. And look at that! Bonkers Hawk 91 with a 111.818 there. So really good lap time from Bonkers, who steals pole position away from Jake. Jake is going to be one of those drivers that retires every single quali. He gets himself disqualified, starts dead last, so he does get practice. But right now, that practice laps are not being the top of the field because Bonkers Hawk 91 holds that title. So really strong lap time from him. Marcel coming across now through the second sector split time. Purple on my timing screen. Whether or not that's truthful, I don't know, but Marcel had a bit of a recuperance into last time out in Bahrain. A bit more pace shown, so let's hope he can keep the momentum rolling for the Mercedes team, but that was going to be across the line with the 1:12.3, so that would have got him P3 on the grid. So Marcel, if he didn't invalidate on that final turn, would have been a shoe-in for the front 2 rows there. So really strong stuff from the German, and hopefully for his sake at least he can keep that rolling into that final couple of laps he'll have, and see just about whether or not he can challenge those big boys at the top. Is James pushing? That's my question. I think he is, you know. Round the penultimate corner, across the exit curve, and then back in for the final turn. Up towards the line he'll go. Can James improve? Yes, he can by 0.2 of a second, and goes into P3. So himself and Akasili currently residing in that second row on the starting grid. Track position around here is quite important. I think there's down into turn 1's a big overtaking opportunity. You could argue down into turn 10 as well after the second DRS zone. But apart from that, it is quite a hard track to overtake at. You need some cojones on you down into turn 4 if you're going to send a move. But I've seen it done, and I've done it myself, so it is well and truly possible. Then final 2 corners of Europcar and Catalunya, 13 and 14 respectively. Really important corners. If you can get a slingshot on the car ahead out of there, then you, by the end of turn 1, at start of turn 1 rather, could well and truly be a couple of attempts ahead. So really important corners to nail, not just on these qualifying laps, but also when we go to race pace later on tonight. So 9 minutes 14 on the clock as we reach that point. So second laps are going to be a go. James already sets his second. Into the box he'll come. So lots of drives in onto the in laps or in the box themselves, but a couple of drivers now starting the way. So let's watch, shall we, with Akasili, the Hungarian, burning lots of battery down into turn 1, braking at the 100-metre board, or just after there, as some of these drivers getting really confident under their left foot. Down through there, now through turn 3, up towards Repsol corner of 4. That is a strong sector 1, and Akasili could well be punching above his weight and up towards the upper echelons of this grid. That's a purple sector 1. Nicely does it through turn 5, through the kink of 6 and up towards 7. And really nicely weighted through there. Really good on the power, and this looks to be a very strong lap time from the Aston Martin as he overs the crest of 9. ERS and DRS both working in his favour towards the braking zone at 10. Half a second up. Akasili could well be on. All slight tank slapper through turn 11 there, just as he got that power down, slightly eager under the right foot. 2 corners to go. Can Akasili finally get himself onto the front row, or maybe even provisional pole on this second attempt at a lap? Up to the line he'll go. Good enough for pole. 1:11.6. That's a hell of a lap time from the Hungarian, who was well and truly hungry for this fight today. Bonkers Hawk left in a bitter shock there, as really it's only a tenth ahead, but still around here, once you've set your best lap time already, trying to find a tenth is trying to find a needle in a haystack. So that's really putting the show to the likes of Bonkers, Jake and Marcel. Marcel already coming around the final couple, but into the box he'll go. Let us see now, can Jake try and improve? He's not pushing on this occasion. Bonkers on an outlap. Adam Dixon boxing. Pinkweb 2 tenths up. That was Spanner, I think, coming across the line for P5. So once again, another driver after his win on his debut in Singapore. Didn't have the best time out last time compared to it, but engaging in a lot of battles with Spanner, so hopefully for his sake he could be in and amongst it later on. 6/10 improvement from Pinkweb. That could be a strong lap and get him onto the front 2 rows on debut. That would be a great starting position come race time later on. So through the final couple into the final turn now. The right-hander, there's McLaren slow at turn 1, but to the line he'll go. P4 for Pinkweb. So back end of the second row, in comes Jake with a pole provisional lap at least for 11.5. He will disqualify himself later, but that just showcasing now that Jake can really well and truly flex those muscles of that Alpine when he gets going. Maybe just about showing a bit of nerves compared to everyone else, starting to set some quicker lap times closer to what he's able to do. Doesn't look to me like Bonkers is pushing. Well, no, sorry, he is pushing, but doesn't look to me like he's maybe going to be able to set a better lap time. Let's see. All comes down to the sector split, and he is up 0.3 of a second. This is big. Not only could he potentially beat Akasili, who he technically is fighting for pole, but he could beat Jake on his best lap time so far. 2 corners will answer that question, and we will find out. Lucky not to invalidate there. Bit of grass on the inside, had to lift, huge lift, and it's a huge chunk of time, but it doesn't matter, because Bonkers Hawk 91 with a 1:11.4 snatches provisional pole, and that kicks Sauber at the hands of this British driver. Absolutely working in partnership, in conjunction, in heaven, because right now he's doing an absolute stormer of a job this season. He only joined 2 races ago, so this is really good to see. Jake going to be looking at those timing sheets. He thought he was, you know, clued up enough to get that pole position, and he's still got another stab at it, don't forget. But Bonkers, the big shock, the big shock story of this season so far, and you know, he's only had the last couple, so imagine what he can do next season when we get a whole season of him. Marcel now is going to be pushing, trying to make use of that early clean air. Not going to be up behind here other drivers apart from his teammate who is jumping out the way. That is Tom 18, so that is annoying for all the other drivers who may be trying to use the 100-meter board as a braking marker, because that's just been dismantled by the other Mercedes, so not ideal. Bit deep there in towards turn 7 for Marcel. Not going to be what I'd have suggested, not going to be what he would have preferred, but either way he's going to have to still try and nurse this round. Not quite even a tenth up through sector 2, so unless you can have a stormer of the last sector, not going to be much improvement made by the Kaiser. Let us watch on though, as there's not much else happening on the grid right now. as was going to be everyone making that final, as he does end up boxing. But that final tweak, not to the setup, but to the fuel loads. Dump the fuel, have one last final go on clean tyres. Get that outlap absolutely perfect. Get them tyres up to the optimal window when it comes to temperatures. Get them working, get them firing on all cylinders, and then, and just then, can you really send it into every single corner. Every entry, apex, exit needs to be perfect. And if you can just about get that right and send it without crashing into the walls, Bruce, without doing that, then you can really nail on a perfect lap. That's what everybody driving here today and in general in motorsport, whether it's real life or sim racing, that's what everybody is chasing every single time you join a qualifying session. That perfect lap where every single gear change, every corner, every slight throttle application is perfect. There's a big slide there from Rakuri, really trying to get those rears up and running. Big lock up as well, so really trying to bring those temperatures into all of those tyres. Got to be careful he doesn't do too much though, as he's really trying hard to do so. James on a push lap.
We're ready to go.
He is pushing, coming out of turn 8, up towards turn 9. Let's see what the man who recently, all through this season, I've called our championship leader. That's a title that no longer goes to him, but now to the Alpine instead. Let's see what James can do, what is going to be his last push lap of the session. Can James Blackie bring himself back to the top of the grid order for at least today and give himself the best possible start for the race? Through the final turn, up to the line he'll go. P4 for James, the Scotsman will be pleased as long as he can hold on to that through the rest of this session. Jake and Bonkers both waiting to have that final lap showdown. Pinkweb as well, coming round the last couple of corners before setting up that final push. This is really becoming crunch time for all these drivers now. It's do or die. That's the sort of echelons we're entering now, because this is big. 1 minute 12 now on the clock, less every second we speak. And right now we are waiting, as it could be any of the top 7, maybe even 8. I don't want to be rude to Ranger, but anyone could have this pole in the bag. Jake going to be the first to cross the line to really try and start this fight. Akasili next, then it will be Pinkweb, but Bonkers as well actually stuck in there. Can he hold on to this pole position that he currently holds and resides over, or will it be going the way of somebody else by the end of this 30 seconds? That is what we have left in this session. Bonkers pushing like mad up towards the sector 1 split. Let's see whereabouts he'll go. He's briefly, very briefly up in towards sector 1, so we'll keep an eye. Jake looks to be pushing hard as well in that Alpine. Is he quicker than his previous PB? Can he finally bring the fight back to Bonkers, who's snatched it back every single time away from him? He's up and it's purple. Really good stuff, but there's a McLaren off somewhere. That's Rakuri off at turn 4, at least at the entrance. Can we see any bit of push laps? Pinkweb up to P5. James pushing hard in sector 1. Big bit of tyres gravelling over the grass there. God knows what I'm saying, but Jake across the line to set his final lap time. Pipped at the post, stays P2. Bonkers Hawk 91. Is he going to bring this best lap to the line? He goes quicker with a 1:11.4. That's really now going to put the pressure on the likes of Akasili, who only can stay P3. James Blackie not likely to push past her on this last lap. Can he do it? It's between himself, Pinkweb and Spanner. Pinkweb's already out the equation. Spanner next to cross the line. Gonna cross it any second now. Where's he gonna go? Across the line he spins. James Blackie, the last man to try and cross that line. It could be P4, or could it be better? He's gonna stay on that back end of the second row come race time. But wow, oh wow, was that a quick, short and snappy end to qualifying. But it's Bonkers Hawk 91 who leads us coming into turn 1, or at least he'll be hoping to. He'll lead us away at the lights. Jake just behind him, Akasili P3, James B Up in P number 4, Marcel and Pinkweb 5th and 6th. Spanner, Adam Dixon, Ranger and Gaz rounding out your top 10. Rakori Wisburn, the two McLarens 11th and 12th. Corey Brennan, Tom 1886, Carlos Skiller, and then Bad Boy Brucey down in P16. Scouse, after race quitting mid-quali, is going to be still starting dead last when we get to the race. But that, as I keep thinking and saying it now, was a really exciting end to qualifying. Wow. I'm very much looking forward to this round number 9. I'm going to quickly run a quick ad before qualifying fully ends and the race begins. So I'm going to run that now. I'll keep talking for those of you that don't get the advert or join just about now. But quickly, for those of you watching and are able to type, leave your top 3 race predictions down in the chat. I'm thinking it's going to be a Bonkers Hawk win. Jake P number 2. I think it's going to be a harsh battle all the way through. And then randomly, I'm actually going to make the prediction that Marcel is going to get that P3. I think it's going to be a fight between Akasili, James, Marcel, Pinkweb and Spanner, all fighting hard for that P3. I think we're going to have a huge fight for podiums, but that final place, because I think these two boys at the front are going to well and truly run away with it come the end of this race. So it's going to be exciting stuff all the way through. That we are going to have drama all the way through. If we can have a DRS train from, you know, first down to, I think it was about 9th we had one of the last couple of races we did. I think last race there was a huge DRS train, but then it split into 2, which was even more exciting because we had a fight at the front, then we had a fight for some high scoring points positions. So that's what we want to see. You know, we don't want to just see one driver run away with it, as we saw with Jez, even Cross back in the day, stuff like that. King James, you never really run away with it, but still, that's what we want to see. We want to see battles, we want to see excitement, but we don't want to see domination, because that usually makes it boring. But that isn't something we've had this season. With Jake starting at the back of the field normally, that has meant that, you know, the field's kind of equalised up in terms of pace and scoring, because that does mean he's got to fight his way through the field. But with that not happening here tonight, that does mean that we are going to be in for a bit of a battle now. What? Let me just have a look then. Right. So yeah, right now then, it's going to be a case of all the drivers do get to change their setup when it comes to this part of the night. They get to change it away from the quali setups, which are usually more aggressive, going to be a bit more reserved, a bit more stripped back in terms of, you know, more of a solid setup when it comes to race time. That is what everyone usually opts for. You know, you change your pressures because in quali you want your tyres to be as ready as they can. But we're already to the lights now. It's 4 and it's 5. Bonkers Hawk to lead us away for round number 9. It's lights out and away we go as everyone's seemingly getting away well. There's a spinning Alpine off at the back. That was Gaz. Mini-Mad. Bonkers losing out to Jake, or at least down into turn 1 they run. Can we see a big lock up there from Jake? James just about sneaking through there, but just about now was Bonkers Hawk shutting the door and keeping P2. But for how much longer, as off goes a Mercedes there, spinning at the back, nearly keeps it foot well and truly planted up towards turn 4. That was Marcel not having the best start, all the way down to P number 11. But wow, oh wow, as there's lock-up smoke flying everywhere, bits of gravel getting kicked up into everybody's visors. Wisburn makes his way up to P8. Can he try now in towards this corner of turn number 7? He gets ahead and stays ahead of Ranger. Turns his attention to Adam Dixon in front, but look at this. Jake just about getting it all sorts of right down into turn 1, braking later, then Bonkers, who had to back out and maybe start to look in his mirrors, because James, having an absolutely storming start, well and truly past Agasili, and there's a yellow flag, because at the back, off again is Gaz, going really slow down the back straight, and has already now fallen well and truly behind the field. But look at this, are we going to see another battle down into turn 1? I think Bonkers is just too far back. But as we look through the back of the field, Wisburn trying now on one, as Red Bull already achieved. Can he turn his attention to the next? Spanner under pressure from the Papaya McLaren, but just about holding strong out in P7. We're looking through the back of the pack, trying to find any battles happening. There's so much to keep up with on that opening lap. So many drivers trying to pull ahead and keep stun with the rest of the pack. Can they really now start to press on and attack? Let me check now the tyres that everyone's opted for. Soft tyres for Bonkers Hawk. So that is an absolute, bit of a roll of the dice from the Sauber driver tonight. He did do a 50% race in Spain in another league recently, and maybe he did the same sort of strategy. There's a Red Bull off. It's Spanner in just about the race I was saying he was looking really likely to maybe try and bring back the pace he showed in Singapore, facing the wrong way down the back straight, pulling a Gaz, and not going to be able to replicate that, or at least not looking likely for now. You never know though, things do change, and cutbacks do very much happen. We're going to see them all now getting that slingshot down towards turn 1. Bonkers very close though, needs to make those soft tyres work for him. He is going to still try and keep up with everyone else on mediums though, apart from Adam, Marcel and Tom. But if he's going to do that and try and keep up with everybody else, he needs to sit back then and save those tyres. But he would have rather to be ahead there. Big bit of a tank slapper coming out of turn 4, as we have already lost Spanner in this Grand Prix. But yes, Bonkers looking skaty now already on those soft tyres, maybe starting to go off, but the rate he's pushing to keep up with Jake, I'm not surprised, because that Alpine on medium tyres is sitting very pretty right now. After that initial chaos of a start, James maybe just falling back now a little bit, nearly out of DRS to the drivers in front of him. Let's try and see down into turn 10, is there any moves being made? No one trying to be the bravest of them all. Rakori around the outside though, gonna put the pressure on and try and force a way round Tom. Switchback attempt, but that was a massive amount of curb taken there on the inside of turn number 13. Into the box goes the Mercedes. Rakori up to P11. Trying to see now, is any moves being made? No, bit deep there from Akasili. Potential lock up there on the rear tyres. Lucky not to end up with that rear of your car overtaking the front, which is something we've seen many drivers do in the last couple of weeks. Gaz off again, and he's off at the final couple of corners towards the pit lane, and that could well be the end of Gaz's night just before it really got started. Will he retire? Yes, he has. We're already down 2 drivers and down to 14 races in this Grand Prix. So trying to keep an eye on everyone is becoming that little bit easier as they're starting to drop. But there's so much drama and there's only one of me, so I will apologise now if I do miss anything. But there's so much drama. I still don't think we're going to have any sort of being left out, because I'm pretty sure every single one of these drivers are going to be stuck in a battle that we get to watch at some point. Let's watch these 3 though. Adam, Wiz and Ranger all fighting hard through the final couple of corners now, down in towards Catalunya, the final turn here in Spain. Bit of a slingshot there from Wisburn, now chasing down Adam Dixon into turn 1. To the inside goes the McLaren, braking late, and he's got the move done as he slices ahead at the apex. But can Adam Dixon get the throttle down on those hard tyres, get them working for him? Not on this occasion, unlucky. Great move though from Wiz. As I look now to the front 2, Bonkers doing a really good job at keeping up with Jake. You'd expect him to on those soft tyres, but he needs to keep pushing and trying to chase down the Alpine. chasing down Jake for the lead of this race. Can we see a change in leadership now? Jake has led all the way from turn 1 on lap 1, but right now Bonkers is going to have to start getting, not desperate, that's the wrong choice of word, but he's going to be getting more frustrated by the second as he wants to try and get past Jake and run away into clean air, but whether or not that's going to be happening is a different story entirely. Great slingshot though out of the final turn for the Alpine. Is that going to be enough to keep him at bay behind? I'm not sure, as here comes Bonkers chasing. Inside, outside goes the Sauber. Can he get the move done? That is an absolutely amazing move with the soft tyres, giving him that extra edge when it comes to grip. Jake isn't having it though, as he's going to try and get the move done into turn 4, but Bonkers Hawk 91 with an absolutely stupendous overtake there on the soft tyres. Great move being made, and that has moved Jake down to P2. Saying that, I did say James Akasili and Hinkweb are all going to be locked in a battle for P3. I wasn't expecting them to still be with those top two, especially with Bonkers on soft, so hats off to them now, because they're still well and truly in this fight. As I was saying earlier, all it takes is to just be in the DRS of the car ahead around here, as that was a bit wide from a Corey, and that really can just bring you into any sort of fight. You can nurse your tyres if you're behind, save your battery up, but if you can get dragged along, you are going to be going at a lot quicker a rate of knots than those drivers behind you necessarily. James in P3. Are we going to see a move made by the Alpine though? I'm not sure, as I don't think he really needs to right now. Bonkers on those softs, they're going to die off a lot quicker than Jake's mediums. So right now Jake's in a good place. Scouser has retired, so wanted me to mention his top 10 finish last week. Okay, didn't mention that, but I am going to mention his DNF here tonight. So unlucky mate, not having the best of things, best time of things tonight, but we're going to keep our attention firmly placed on these men in front, because right now Bonkers looking maybe like he's feeling the pressure from Jake behind, going deep for a couple of those corners in sectors 1 and 2. So whether or not we're going to see Bonkers maybe lose the lead and relinquish it now from Jake's side of things, maybe down into someone. I think that is still your best opportunity to get a move done around this circuit. Yes, you can make it into turn 10. Yes, you can make a move into turn 5, but you know, you've got to be ballsy. You've got to try it. And some of these drivers, yes, they can make those moves, but if they don't have to risk it, why would you? Especially the likes of James and Jake, who are locking horns in a big battle this season. So yeah, what's the point in risking it just for the sake of a point or two? Give it a couple of rounds though, when we head to round 10, 11 or 12, then maybe we're going to see the desperate times calling for desperate measures. But right now, they'll be very pleased for how things are going. Adam Dixon is the driver that I do want to touch on right now. He's on those hard tyres, and he's doing a really good job keeping people at bay behind him. I mean, Ranger, Carlo and Rakuri all on medium tyres. They should in theory still be quicker than the hards that are booted onto the V-carb. So I'd say that if Adam Dixon can keep them at bay, then not only does he have track position on them, but when it comes to that second stint when he boots on a fresh set of mediums, he's going to be absolutely laughing and having a whale of a time, because he should be able to pick his way through those hard runners in front. Wisburn kind of in no man's land right now, 3 seconds in front to the nearest car, 2 seconds behind to the nearest car. So after a really good start where he got past, I think it was Spanner or Ranger, one of the pair, I think it was Ranger actually, after doing so, kind of just running into his own race right now. As I say, no man's land, that he's just got no threat behind or in front. So focus on your own race and you never know where you end up. But crucially, that's a move at the front being made. Because here comes Bonkers Hawk behind Jake now. So whether or not that's a sign of the times for Bonkers, maybe those soft tyres starting to die off a bit quicker than he would have thought. But right now, Jake does lead the way. In turn, that could well be very smart from Bonkers Hawk, who could be maybe just trying to nurse these tyres behind Jake and sit back and try and take the DRS you know, nurse those tyres, keep that battery to start just ticking over and recharging. You know, if he doesn't need to fight Jake right now, he doesn't need to. Why would you take the risk if you don't have to, you know? But, and only but, James behind in the Ferrari is looking racy today. I know he's just sitting back. He hasn't really had an actual quote-unquote battle with these boys in front, but he's waiting in the wings to pick up any sort of scraps from these two fighting so hard in front. And, you know, the more they fight, the happier James will be, because he just knows that they'll be taking time out their tyres. He knows that there could be a risk of damage on a front wing, you know, an end plate here or there. No side pod damage in this league, but still, you know, a little bit of wing damage can really hurt you, especially around the high downforce corners of the high speeds around of Spain. So, you know, don't want to get front wing damage. That is why the opening couple of laps are so important, to keep your nose clean and out of trouble, which I think most drivers managed. And I am going to keep a look at the Swede of Pinkweb, doing a good job right now up in P5, chasing down Akasili, but, you know, not in such an aggressive way that he's taking time out of his tyres. Doing a really nice job at keeping smooth and consistent in this race. So once again, another driver just like James, who's just waiting in the wings, really. You look back though, Ranger is the next man we look at, now starting to try and get a bit impatient with Adam. I think that's what he needs to do. He needs to get past him, because right now I know Adam Dixon's on a different strategy than that, but they're showing the nose, and then there's that Ranger really getting the elbows out, trying to muscle away past, but was doing so well within his rights and the limits of the racetrack. So fair play to him, but didn't get the move done. Bonkers Hawk into the pit lane, he'll go. Has he managed to do a soft to hard challenge when it comes to tyres? If he gets onto a set of hard tyres now, he should go to the end of the race, and he is going to try it on this occasion. So, you know, hats off to him, because that has meant that he's got the pace to stay at the front pack. But let's see, when is it going to be medium time for pit stops? But we'll keep a keen eye on him, because look at that. He's come out in a really big chunk of clean air. So if he can get those hard tyres up to temperature, start pumping in a few fast laps, then Bonkers is going to be right up behind this pack right when we get to the pit stop. So keep a keen eye on those timing sheets, as he's going to be making his way through. Now though, just as it's happened, Jake has almost checked out away from these three behind, which does really leave James under pressure and under threat from Akasili now. No DRS in front to pull himself away from these guys, so that does mean it's going to be a straight out scrap between Akasili and James heading into turn one. So let's keep an eye now. Big slingshot coming through. You cannot count out the Haas though. He's going to get that double DRS slipstream, which is so important. It's so good usually. Doesn't matter though, he's going to get a front row seat to see Akasili pull ahead. He's got the move done. Fairly simple DRS overtake there, but either way manages to put himself up to P2, with James falling back down to the final podium place. Ranger behind, still unable to get past Adam Dixon. I think those medium tyres are starting to die off, which means he's not got as much grip through the corners, which does mean it's going to be a case of, can he catch up enough down the straights to finally get the move done. He needs a couple of mistakes from Adam Dixon, who's right now just driving into the prime of his tyres, so he's got no care in the world, as he's got a 7-second gap in front, and he's holding up a pack, not necessarily holding them up anymore, as his tyres are getting better, but, you know, he's in a great place. That was an incident there, Rakori. Yellow flag as I was cutting my way through the field, coming off of the exit of turn 8. I don't know if it was a half spin contact with another driver. Seemingly has a McLaren that's all intact, but yeah, unlucky from him, whatever happens. Bonkers 5 seconds, so he's already gained 3 seconds on these last couple of laps, so doing a really good job. Here we go, Pinkweb past James, not hanging about much longer as the Swedish driver, and in the space of 2 laps James has lost just as many positions, so not going too well for the Scotsman here tonight. And now he does fall back to P4. Whether or not James now, his tyres are starting to die out in this opening stint. Could it be time soon for the hard compound to come back out? Pinkweb 1.2 seconds away from Akasili, so unless he pushes hard on this lap, I'm not sure if he's going to get DRS down the main straight, so that could make him under pressure. And there goes James, very wide through turn 9. Lucky to keep it on the track there, because if he touches the gravel, they're so sensitive at high speeds like that, that could well have been him spinning and out the race. So foot well and truly to the floor had James, and that isn't going to help him now as he's down 1.2 seconds away.
This lap then, come into the pits at the end
into the pits he does go, so I did think that was a sign that his tyres are starting to really struggle on this opening stint rather. So into the box he'll go for what I can only imagine the same for Ranger, onto a set of fresh hard tyres. So good decision making from those guys. Ricori has got all sorts of wrong heading into the pit lane with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So not ideal from him as we ride on board with Marcel.
One stop to go, just one stop left in this strategy.
Chasing down the Aston Martin is the Mercedes driver now. He is closing in on him in this opening stage. Bonkers Hawk though, so far away. He's technically the net leader, I think, if you work it out. 7, I don't know, it'd be close with himself and Jake. Obviously going for a very big undercut after being on the softer compound, but whether or not it will work, Jake's going to have a lot more pace towards the end of this race though. So when will we see Jake in the box? Not yet. We know he can take his tyres a long way. Akasili though follows in James to cover him off. Pinkweb though staying out one more lap, so trying a 2-lap overcut on James, the 1 lap on Akasili. So is it going to pay off? A gamble that needed to be taken in the eyes of the Swedish driver, because right now if I was in his boots I would have probably been a coward and gone, you know, I'm going to cover him off. At least Akasili, you know, who's done that in a defensive move into James's race. So, but no, Pinkweb on his debut, why not? He's going for it, and he's going to try a 2-lap overcut. That is going to help him by the end of the race. You know, if he doesn't get the track position, if he's only a second behind or something like that, as he drives into those new tyres, which will be quicker than those guys in front of him, quote unquote in front of him, then, you know, that is what I call an overcut paying off. Not just track position, but also, you know, the pace, and not too far of a distance to make up by the end of the stint. So whether or not he will come out in a nicer position than he left, that will be a case that we need to answer very shortly. Jake into the box or no? No pit stop for the Alpine. Oh no, it is! That really glitched on my end, I think, because on the track map for me it looked like he was carrying on. But Jake and Pinkweb both in, so it's going to be a near on 5-lap overcut attempt from Jake on Bonkers onto hard tyres. Let's see where he comes out. Into the lead goes Adam and Marcel, yet to pit themselves. Bonkers is going to come out quite ahead of Jake here, who's only now just taken the limiter off. And Wisburn also has pulled through. He's on a very different strategy though, onto mediums already. So not going to be, you know, he's kind of an outlier in this stint, looking racy compared to Bonkers even. So we'll keep an eye. But yes, Jake isn't too far back from Bonkers Hawk. So 5 laps is a very big tyre offset when it comes to it at the end of this stint, let alone now at the start. Akasili did end up getting ahead of James. Well, no, sorry, James was already behind. And I think James has actually undercut Pinkweb there, as he's in front now. But, just as I was saying, 2-lap overcut attempt by Pinkweb, and he's right within touching distance of the Ferrari, who in turn isn't too far away from the Aston. So, I still would like to say, as long as it all goes well, and stays looking good for the Haas, I think he's going to be the bigger winner out of the 3. Bonkers versus Wisburn versus Jake. What is the net leader this race? Jake behind the pair. Is he going to try and put the pressure on Wisburn now? I think it's going to be the opposite. I think Wisburn is going to drag Jake up towards the back of Bonkers, who isn't going to actually get the move done this lap. But Wisburn looking so good on those medium tyres. Shame it's going to be short-lived for now. But what could save Wisburn here is a potential safety car. You know, so do not count it out. Do not rule anything out in this league. That is something that we've definitely found out, not just this season, but this season we've had a lot of chaos when it comes to safety cars, bringing out new strategies. You know, you can't rule any winners out. I mean, we had Gaz win a race, for God's sake. So, you know, they're giving them out at that rate. But Wisburn would like to maybe join back with the winning table and sit at that with the other drivers that we've had so far. Emmanuel Tuaya not here again this weekend after what was a really good start. Won 3 out of the first 4 races. You know, not going to be able to continue his championship challenge. Hasn't been able to. So maybe a case of going again next season. Jake right up the chuff now of Wisburn. Can he get the move done? He needs to. He doesn't want to dilly-dally behind the McLaren. Yes, he can nurse those tyres, but in the dirty area it causes him the risk of letting Bonkers run away. But he's not going to get the move done just about now. And this really does bring in Akasili. He's got a lap older tyres than Jake, so he isn't actually in too different a boat from Jake compared to Bonkers. So right now, I wouldn't even count out Akasili. We know that if he gets close enough to a driver, he doesn't pull any punches, he will try and send it. And in turn, so too is Jake now, down into turn 5, big lock up on the left front, trying to find a way through, trying to cut out an avenue to the inside of turn number 7. He's going to hold it, but no, Wisburn pulls back across of the Alpine driver and holds firm for P4. Really good stuff as here comes Bonkers Hawk. There's a car off, and it's Marcel off at turn 9 into the full course yellow. Is it a safety or it's a VSC for now? So it's going to be a calm in the middle of the storm. Is that going to be upgraded to a full course yellow?
Slow down.
In terms of safety car coming out? No, it won't be. Bonkers did just about get the move done on Wisburn there. No, sorry. Bonkers got the move done on Marcel because of the incident. Into the box goes Adam Dixon. Wisburn also going to use this as a chance to get onto a new set of tyres. There is a retirement for Marcel. Such a shame after what looked to be a potential good showing again. But Bonkers Hawk, Jake, Akasili still very close to each other. I don't know how Akasili's lost out so much during the VSC. James a while back, Pink Web right up behind the Ferrari. So this is a battle between the pair of them that would have probably been brought closer to the front pack if that was a full course safety car, as Marcel does lead the session. But yes, a little bit of breathing space for a few of these drivers. Definitely a bit of breathing time for me, but just calms the race down, lets everyone kind of get back into the headspace they need to. Has helped the likes of Adam and Wiz as we do go back green flag running. Bonkers with a good exit there. Does manage to bring himself under the throttle well. Jake though, look at that, he's on 5 lap fresher tyres than Bonkers. So not only is he a lot quicker now, he's going to just get quicker and quicker compared to him through the rest of this stint as Bonkers' tyres die off. And they're going to die off at a 5 lap quicker rate, so you know you've got to keep an eye on it as we head through these last couple of, well I say last couple of laps through this second stint. Are we going to see a change in the lead of this race down into turn 1? DRS activated on the Alpine. The Sauber going to be trying to make this line as wide as possible. Isn't going to be under threat in towards turn 1 on this lap. Akasili behind, also holding back. James is all over the shop when it comes to the track, as Pink Web is right up behind him now, trying to cut his way through on debut. Pink Web could well be heading in towards a top 4 finish. That is what he's aiming for, and right now what is stopping him from doing that is the man that sits P2 in the championship. So whether or not he's going to be able to get through easily on is going to be a case of seeing what James can do. any move's going to be made. Akasili really close up behind these two now. No disrespect, I thought after the earlier stint where, you know, Jake and Bonkers kind of ran away with things, I did not expect to see Akasili right up here. Something I do want to touch on, and I don't know how, is that not only does Akasili have really high battery, so too does Jake, and so too does Bonkers. So that is why Bonkers Hawk's been able to keep himself ahead of Jake for so long. Because he's got so much battery, but it's not going to be the case for long. As here to the inside of turn 1 goes Jake. He's got the move done on Bonkers, and that is a new leader once more as Jake takes back what is his and leads us into round. Oh, I can't speak tonight. Lap 21. Akasili sitting back, getting a great view of that battle. James the Pink Web starting to calm down a little bit with the Swedish driver slowing down. But Adam Dixon, who earlier I said was going to be in a good place, helped again by the VSC, up in P6. Once again, medium tyres, driving into the prime of them, so every lap he'll get quicker. Sets the fastest lap on the last journey around the circuit. Is in a really good spot today for what could be a really strong finish by the end of it. So let's keep an eye on him. But Bonkers Hawk already lost a second to Jake in front. So Bonkers not really now going to be able to fight too hard for the lead and could be under pressure from the Hungarian behind of Akasili, who's gaining before we even get to the final corner. Gets the foot down, gets the ERS and DRS both helping him through. Great gain here from the Hungarian to the inside again. It's part and parcel the same move made. And in 2 laps, 2 positions lost from Bonkers, and he now sits on the bottom step compared to the top step of the podium. Bonkers Hawk though tried an early strategy gamble, started on the soft, didn't work out in his favour, and right now he's still on even 3 lap older tyres than James behind, so it could be a case of misery being pulled on a lot more in the rest of this race, as we do now have another 12 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Going to keep our eyes peeled though, because do not count out Akasili, who's still fighting hard at the front of this field. 1.3 seconds is the gap, but these two are who I want to see. The only saving grace that Bonkers might get from this podium is something like a safety car, but the other one is if Pinkweb and James end up holding each other up in terms of battling, instead of what they're doing now, which is kind of DRS training each other up towards the back of these 3. So, you know, if they can work together in this way and keep doing so, then Bonkers Hawk on those 12-lap-old hards is going to be under a lot of pressure come the end of this race. So let's keep an eye. But another driver I want to keep an eye on now is Ranger, the Irishman in the Red Bull, getting a great exit now on the Aston Martin. Can he get the move done into turn 1? Not going to have enough there. Almost like the 2026 cars there, clipping at the end of the straight. Just had nothing left in the tank, did Ranger. Unable to get the move done. Corey Brennan down in P11 right now. 10 seconds back from Rakori, so not going to be able to really put pressure on him by the end of this stint. Once again though, another driver that a safety car could well benefit, could really bring him back into the fray, so never say never. Ranger though all over the back of Carlos Gil, now really starting to kneel on him and just put that pressure on every single corner of every single lap. We've seen it time and time again. Ranger can do that. He can really push into a stint and keep the pressure up, and that's where mistakes are forced. Sometimes he makes his own mistakes when doing so, but no, we know that he's a driver that has a lot of pace when it comes to it. When he chooses to, he also has a lot. But right now, James is a driver with a lot of pace on his plate, and to be fair, he's got a lot of pressure in this race. Last time out, he lost the championship lead. He needs to make sure that this doesn't become a domino effect and he starts losing a lot more points every single race to Jake. Right now the gap is 6 points, but as it stands today, Jake is going to be taking 36 points home whereas James is only going to be taking 26. So a 10-point gap will be added onto the already 7 points at the top end of this standing. So it's going to be it'll be 16 points going into round number 10. So he needs to really try and make sure it's a case of damage limitation. If he can get himself up and pass Bonkers Hawk and keep it till the end of the race, and that will be 28 points. So it'll be minimising the gap to 14 points come round 10. So it's going to be a challenge for James, to keep this pressure on. But we've seen Jake Bottle before in the past, and it could well happen again. You'd have to probably put your lottery numbers in the same week if it did happen, but never say never. Pink Web is all over the back now of James. So whilst James is maybe thinking, oh yes, I need to get this next position, get myself back onto the podium, get those 28 points compared to the 26 I currently sit on, he needs to not just think about that car in front that he's sniffing out, he needs to worry about the pink pass of Pink Web, who's chasing him down now for P4. He's on 2 lap fresher tyres than James, who in turn is on 3 lap fresher tyres than Bonkers. So right now, it's all looking up for Pink Web. He's sitting back waiting, but all it takes is for him to finally pull that trigger, and he's not going to get 1, but potentially 2 overtakes done. So as we are closing out to the latter stages of this Grand Prix, things are going to start happening sooner rather than later. You know, this is when drivers who have been tucked in away into a battle for a large portion of this race are going to finally start to pull the plug and get themselves in and amongst it, you know, finally save up that battery, stop doing that and start sending it into every single corner. I'm not expecting huge sends down into turn 1, although James nearly started to make Bonkers a bit nervous there into that same corner. But what I mean is that you start trying to put in qualifying laps during this stint. Yes, you'll burn your tyres out, but everyone's doing that the same. Pink Web right now, he's almost got 2 laps to play with in terms of James, and he's got a further 3 laps to play with in terms of Bonkers Hawk. If he wants to absolutely send it and have 5 laps worth of tyre wear, then he'll only bring himself up towards Bonkers Hawk's level. So right now, he can afford to really push from now until the end of the Grand Prix and probably get away with it. So if I was the Swedish driver, I would start pushing as much as you can and get past James. James at the minute isn't in DRS, but it's going to be a case of when, not if, he's going to pick up that rear wing 30 kilometers an hour extra down the main straight. Pink Web trying his luck into turn 13 there, turn 12 rather. That would have been a very unorthodox place to make a move. And just as I was saying, he needs to pull the trigger. He's put the pressure on. James off at the exit of the final turn, and Pink Web is through. Just what I thought. Heading into a weird corner, trying to show the nose, unsettles the driver in front, and that is testing the nerve of James, who was buckled and has maybe ended up losing not just that position, but that could be a bit of foreshadowing to him potentially losing this title. Jake will be seeing that later on if he re-watches the stream, and will be seeing to himself that that could well be the moment the title was won when he looks back at the end of the season, if he wins it, that is. Akasili, 3 seconds back from Jake, was my driver of the day last time out, making up, I think it was about 11 places around the Bahrain circuit. But today, doing an absolutely stellar job once more, and, you know, really giving the fight to the likes of Bonkers and Jake. So, hats off to the Hungarian tonight. Pink Web, though, the next driver to try and attack Bonkers. He's doing a really good job, is the Sauber driver, you know, kind of sitting away from those drivers behind. He's not letting himself get put under pressure yet. Whether or not he's going to have that taken out of his hands with those tyres starting to die off more and more, that is another question. It's such a shame because Adam Dixon really hasn't kicked on as much as I thought he would. That's important. A 3-second time penalty going the way of Bonkers Hawk 91. Multiple warnings, so that's 3 track extensions in this Grand Prix where the stewards have not been happy and have deemed him to gain an advantage. So that is going to move him back 2 places as it stands. So really, if he can find any sort of life left in those hard tyres, he needs to squeeze them and squeeze that pace out of it, because right now he's going to fall back to P5 in this race. Are we going to see a battle on track now? Pinkweb knows that if he does keep it clean, keeps himself away from extending the track limits, then he could probably get this position for free. So don't take the risks, but also take enough risks so that you don't lose out to James on track as well, who is also going to capitalise. So right now he's going to end up finishing P4, so still not quite the damage limitation that he would have wanted, but points are points. And like I say, if there is a case where Jake can't race for some reason, or if he does race and bottles or gets caught up in traffic in a race where he starts at the back, something like that, all these different things that could happen, these are the races where you need to make sure that the points before are scored. So, you know, you've got to keep yourself in the running, as Carlos Skiller has lost out to Ranger now. Whether or not that happened a while ago, I'm not sure, but it does seem to be putting the pressure back on the Irishman ever more still. So 0.3 of a second is the gap. Are we going to see Carlos Skiller really bring the fight back to Ranger down in towards turn 5? He's got a lot more speed on entry than the Irishman does in front. That could be just the difference when it comes to it. You know, if you're a little bit quicker around a certain part of the track and then you've got the DRS to help you around the next, that is the difference when it comes to it. If you can tidy up a lap, make one really good push lap work in your favour, then you can really get in front of those cars. Right now, James is actually teetering on the edge of losing out to gaining on Bonkersville, so he could end up P5, which would mean he'd take home 22 points compared to Jake's 36. So that would be 14 points lost today on top of the already 6, which would bring it to 20 points in the championship. So it's not wishing it away and saying to Jake that, you know, there's your title. It's definitely not James waving the white flag by any means, but it's a sight that we've seen all too many times before. James B fighting hard at the front end of the field, not quite with King James any longer, but just once again, maybe by the end of the season, falling away and not having enough. I don't want to say it because there's still plenty of racing laps left to go in this season, as we still have another 3 rounds left, but still it could well be Jake's to lose, as we are on lap 30 now, heading on towards lap 31, so we don't have much longer to go in this Grand Prix. So let us hope now that there's going to be any sort of overtaking moves being made in towards these last couple of laps in this race. So things can happen, and right now they look to be happening. Can we watch on board with the Aston Martin, who's looking to try and pile that pressure on to Ranger in front? He's got a great exit out of turn 13, into 14 he'll go. Great speed under throttle now. DRS and ERS both helping him. No ERS being used by the Aston, maybe biding his time and waiting for the final couple of laps to get the move done and to have the best chance of keeping it. So it could be a bit of gamesmanship being played by Carlo. So, you know, hats off to him if he wants to try and play those games. Whether or not Ranger is going to let that fly, I'm not sure. Has he got any pace left reserved in their tank? That is yet to be revealed, but we will see. So keep an eye. Right now, driver of the day vote for me. I was going to give it to Adam Dixon for trying that strategy if it worked out and he got himself up on the podium or something like that, but this second stint he hasn't ended up kicking on in quite the way we wanted. I'm tempted to give it to a couple of other drivers who I will reveal later on. So let us push on though for what is the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. Jake doing a great job. Yes, you look at this and say, well, he's dominated the whole race. He's been at the front the whole race, let's be honest. big fight from Bonkers at times, big fight from Akasili, and even James as well earlier on. But right now, it's only really been one man who could have won this race, and it looks to be going the same way as last time out. Right this second we watch Bonkers with that 3 seconds hanging over him, 2.5 seconds back to Pinkweb, who is currently chasing down on debut another podium. On debut a podium, which is something that we saw in Singapore for Bonkers Hawk, who got a P3 on his debut and then got a P2 in the next race following. So whether or not that's putting Pinkweb in good stead for the next race when we have round 10, that's a question that we don't know yet. But look at that, that's going to be where the gap really comes into play. James is going to lose out as we are going to see Tom come out the pits. That could well end up holding up Pinkweb, but the gap is getting bigger between the pair of them. Is Bonkers finally finding a bit of pace on these 22-lap-old hard tyres? This would be some feat if he could hold on to a podium place, but right now, as we watch on board with Jake coming out of turn 5 into 6, he's done a really, really good job, has the Alpine driver. Carlos Skinner and Ranger locked into a final battle fight. There's a spin round for Carlo as Ranger makes contact. That's not the way that we would have wanted to end coming into the final lap of the race. But right now we look at one man and one man only as he comes through the final couple of corners. Jake is going to make it 2 wins in a row. One last time out in Bahrain after a fight with Bonkers. Today he's been out on his own and he wins in Spain. And he's absolutely dominated this race. 5 seconds back to Akasili behind. Bonkers not quite enough to hold on. Yes, it was enough to hold on as Bonkers Hawk gets himself onto the final podium place. Pinkweb on debut gets a P4. James Blackie P5 has going to lose 14 points to Jake in front, which makes it 20 points the difference in the championship standings. A head-in-hands moment for him, as he feels the title just start to gradually slip away out of his grasp. Adam Dixon P6, Wisbon and Rakuri, a good showing from the two McLaren boys. Ranger across the line to finish what is going to now be P8. Carlos Skiller after that final lap spin up to P9 after penalties, and that is as much as the grid as I got to see there. Thomas 18 I think was down in P13 or 14 I think, but we are going to now get to see our podium finishers. Jake out on top once more as we're going to see him flanked by Bonkers Hawk and Akasili. The Hungarian driver making it 2 races out of 2 where he's had a really strong showing. But crucially, it's this man, the Alpine crew, absolutely loving life right now. Top of the constructors and top of the drivers with this man. Jake, 20 points the gap now. It's his to lose. It's well and truly the shoe on his foot, or should I say the boot on his foot, going into the final couple of races. So he's done really, really well tonight. Looking at the calendar then, driver of the day on here goes to Wiz. I would agree, but I'm actually going to give it to Pinkweb after a really good, strong debut performance, fighting it with the big guns at times and doing a really nice job at overtaking James at the end there. Nearly a podium on debut, but has still done just enough to give it a good go. Honourable mention for Bruce for making it through a couple of laps before rage quitting, so fair play. Just as good a qualifying performance as a race, but yeah, that's my honourable mentions finished for today. So that has been round number 9 here from Barcelona, and next time out, 29th of March, next Sunday, United States of America, but coming to you not from COTA like earlier on in the season, not from Miami, but under the lights in Las Vegas. So which of the drivers are going to take a gamble and get out lucky next time out in round number 10. But 3 races left in this season 5 to go. We've still got a title fight at our hands, albeit 20 points between them. But I can't wait to see what happens next time out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Arrows. Scouter. Do I give not Kev, Soggy, race ban for potentially DNFing on purpose? Well, I only have the track map from Kev's POV. I don't have Soggy's POV. I've given him a quali ban for no footage. So it's a quali ban plus race ban. Yeah, okay. Perfect. Because I put in the stewards what's final for Jake as well. And I'm not having any more talking about it. I don't give a fuck. I am overruling everybody. With that, yeah. Yeah. Because I've had enough. Fucking hell. Yeah. Like, I wasn't there for the Kiwi stuff. So, I have no say in it. Like, I wasn't a steward at the time. Maybe, fucking Thomas was. Potentially, but I don't know. Oh, no. This would be down here. So if I take this and do additionally, and then put that there, and then decision, race ban for purposely DNFing. And then put that there, and then save. Okay, copy text, 100%, steward outcomes, incidents and reports. Go up here, stewards. Report for Hungary. And then boom. Can I? Hungary. Shit. The flag won't go next to the thing. Shit. I'll have to edit it on my PC. Steward report for Hungary. Incident 1, Incident 2, Incident 3, Incident 4. There we go. Posted. Fuck. I forgot to add everybody. Shit. So, at Kev. Soggy. Me and my moody. At Spanner. At Marcel. And then at Jeffrey. And then at Jake. And then at ERT Center. Yeah. Okay, no, that's fully done. Catch you in a bit, Scouser.